This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with my daily news update before I head off to the gym. There's been a lot more talk today about possible places Brock Lesnar could go now that his contract has been expired since WrestleMania 36, and it came out yesterday. Pro Wrestling Sheet reported that his merchandising deal with WWE has now expired as well. So he's totally a free agent now. Scott Coker of Bellator has said if he is a free agent, he would be interested in doing the Bellator fight between Brock Lesnar and Fedor Emelianenko that was talked about years ago. Never happened. Dave Meltzer said he thinks Lesnar might still have some UFC fights on his UFC contract still. So he might not be able to fight anywhere but UFC. Of course, chances of him winning in UFC would be very slim. I don't think he's won a UFC fight in over 10 years because, as I mentioned yesterday, his last UFC fight, which he failed the drug test for, that was a no contest. And his previous two fights, he was knocked out in the first round. But he could make a lot of money from a UFC fight against Jon Jones, for instance, who has said in the past he wanted to fight Lesnar. There isn't anyone that Jon Jones could make as much money fighting right now as Brock Lesnar, and Jones is going up to heavyweight. So we'll see what happens there. He would help AEW for sure. He would give it a lot of credibility, but he was making massive money. As the Wrestling Observer reported, more money than anyone in the history of wrestling, other than probably The Rock when he gets paid the massive amounts of money to come back. Brock is making huge money for very little action and a lot of control over what he does. So it's unlikely AEW would dish out that kind of money unless they really wanted to give themselves a boost, get out of the 0.2 ratings, which they get pretty much abysmal ratings. They can brag about winning the demographics all they want. The fact of the matter is, this YouTube channel, if you add up our total views that we get in a month and add up AEW Dynamite's total monthly views, the Hannibal TV has more views with all the stars they have. They do have a popular YouTube channel. I'm not saying they don't, but the actual Dynamite show itself does not get as many views in a month as this channel gets. And I am just a wrestling reporter. And we also have a small company called Great North Wrestling that we put matches on this channel, as well as some PCW Ultra matches lately. I posted a match today with Karrion Kross versus Chris Masters, which I highly suggest people check out, as well as yesterday, Victoria Vaughn versus Sumi Sakai. And I am doing a live interview on this channel with Victoria Vaughn next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So be sure to check that out. Jim Cornette has lost a lawsuit against somebody he was trying to sue for making shirts that said "fuck Jim Cornette" on it. The court ruled against Jim Cornette. The parody shirts are allowed, so that's pretty funny. Of course, Jim Cornette is a huge loser that claims to hate AEW but watches it every single week. What kind of a lowlife watches something on TV every week that they hate? Makes absolutely no sense. I don't like AEW. I don't watch it. I watched the first show they ever did, and when I got halfway through it, I had to start fast forwarding through the second half, and that was the extent of my AEW experience. I have better things to do in my life than watch stuff that I don't enjoy. Rey Mysterio, according to Dave Meltzer, has a partial tricep tear and will likely be out of action for about 2 months. WWE is doing an angle where supposedly Drew McDonald has a hairline fracture in his jaw. Apparently, there's some type of deal where they're trying to have Drew wrestle Tyson Furry in the future, who likes working for WWE, although it's unclear when they would do this match. Wade Barrett will be replacing Mauro Ranallo on NXT now that Mauro and the WWE have parted ways. A lot of the smart marks are complaining they don't like how the latest WWE Fat Boy Keith Lee is being booked. The guy, if you'll remember, a couple months ago during the speaking out movement, he claimed that he had a traumatic experience where he was almost raped. The poor guy. No news or updates on Excalibur's status with AEW. There was a video that surfaced of Excalibur and Kevin Owens using the N-word. I guess Kevin Owens, because he's a social justice warrior, got a pass on that, but Excalibur has been off AEW TV since. Marty Squirrel, who had sex with a 16-year-old when he was either 26 or 27, is still under investigation, I guess, by ROH. No news on what they're going to do about that, whether they're going to let it pass or if something's going to be done about him. Not really a draw, but also who really cares about Ring of Honor? I don't think anyone watches Ring of Honor anymore. Tomorrow, there's going to be an interview with Magic Schwartz, who, if you don't know him, he was in Over the Top, Lionheart, Tag Team, The Pilot with Jesse Ventura and Roddy Piper, as well as Grunt the Wrestling Movie, which I recently reviewed. I personally like all of those acting jobs he did, and he did others too. He was in a movie called Stone Cold. Rick Bassman knows him. He said he was actually had real affiliation to a biker gang at one point too, so he's a very legitimate person. Tommy from the Bronx tipped me $50 and says, thank you for all the hard work that I do. Well, Tommy, the previous record for an online live stream tip was $49.99. So thank you for that $50 tip. I need to buy some more protein supplements, and I am going to use that towards my next visit to the supplement store. And my highest tip, by the way, is Dr. Peter. He's tipped me $250 more than once now, but he tips me through PayPal. So thanks a lot, Tommy from the Bronx. I'll answer a couple of your questions, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Devon Hannibal. If you DM me, I'll follow you back on there. We also have a The Hannibal TV Twitter account and Instagram account where I post these news updates on my Instagram account. Steve says he would love to see Lesnar take on Cody Rhodes. I think Cody Rhodes has disappeared ever since I exposed his challenge being a fraud. He dropped the title and disappeared. The Real Frisco says Brock wouldn't go to AEW. Brock, in my opinion, will go wherever he can make the most money. If I was Brock, honestly, as much as it might be a bad decision to fight in UFC, it's got to eat away at him that he hasn't won his last 3 fights. And he's at an age where he probably could get another fight. But again, he wouldn't stand a chance against Jon Jones, but he would make a large, massive amount of money to have that fight and become more famous if he were to fight Jon Jones than he would going back to the declining WWE that's losing huge popularity. Somebody said the other day Drew McDonald was a bigger ratings draw than Jinder Mahal. No, the ratings have actually dropped more than double in the last 2 years, and they've been the lowest of all time since McDonald has been champion. Jefferson E. White, great fan of ours, says, I'm done with AEW, and he goes on to say he'd rather watch a cheerleader competition than AEW. Well, I would too, definitely. By the way, I did a live interview with Amber Nova today, And you can check that out. Thank you for everyone that participated in that interview. Mayhem says, has anything come of the boys on the track cold case after Billy Jack's story came out? I'll be perfectly honest. He has severe cases of CTE, and it's unfortunate. But I believe if there was, I'm not saying that he doesn't believe that he had a part in that, but if there was any truth to that, he would have been arrested. I'll be perfectly honest with you on that. So thanks again for the generous tip, Tommy, from the Bronx. Do I watch any other paranormal channels on YouTube? Tony asked me. Yes, I do. Yes, I certainly do. And Justin, even though you're a hater, I'll respond to this. I was never begging to be on AEW. At any point in time, was I ever begging to be on AEW? When they first announced they were coming back, they were saying they were going to go back to traditional wrestling, sports-based product, classic wrestling. They went the other direction. It's more social justice warrior than WWE is, and it's more flippity-floppy gymnast than WWE is. And I'm actually doing very, very well for myself. Just bought a brand new Jeep. So if you want to be a hater, my man, do it. I'd rather be my own boss. There's going to be, by the way, the Hannibal TV presents the Blood Hunters Forest of Fear coming this fall. You're going to see some unique videos here on the Hannibal TV featuring the Blood Hunter. So again, thank you, Tommy from the Bronx. I appreciate it. Heading off to the gym to pump some iron.